we can't trust you. Your word is not your bond, and we need you to have a legal bond so you can do the right thing. When you make a mess, clean it up or pay the bond to do it. Yeah, I know you pay a lot of taxes. I know you make a lot of money. You've got a big house and a nice family, but you don't live here. I still do. We still live with the rusted oil rigs, and your old mess is making us sick and is killing New Mexicans. It's not been easy. You say it's the cost of doing business. You make a lot of money for New Mexico. It costs too much to clean up the mess. We have to make a profit. Well, here's the thing. This bond won't save the world. You already took care of that. But maybe, just maybe, you could save New Mexico. Just pass the bond. Clean up our land of enchantment. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Kirby. I believe I saw Nona Girardi raise her hand. Ms. Girardi,
Yes.
can you?
Hello.
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 Would you spell your first and last name, please?
My first name is Nona, last name Girardi.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
I'll start your time.
Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. I'm speaking as a resident of Los Alamos, New Mexico, in strong support of proposed bonding rule changes. I've lived in New Mexico for more than 30 years. As a family doctor working in various areas of rural New Mexico, I've seen the impact of increased respiratory and cardiovascular diseases on people living near oil and gas production areas. Children suffer severe asthma attacks more frequently and have difficulty controlling their day-to-day symptoms. Older citizens have worsening chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and heart disease, and people die at younger ages, all due to inhaling these pollutants. The oil and gas corporations that drill for, extract, and profit from our public resources should be required to clean up after themselves 100% of the time. They can't be allowed to leave the cost and effort of plugging and cleaning up unproductive wells to our taxpayers. If they can't afford the costs of cleanup, they shouldn't be drilling here at all. If an ordinary person rents or leases a house or apartment, they usually have to provide a security deposit up front to cover any damages they may cause. If an ordinary person owns or drives a car in New Mexico, they need to have automobile insurance to cover the cost of accidents, injuries, or property damage. The same principle should apply to oil and gas companies operating in our lands. They should post the sufficient bond as the proposed rule would require. In the past 5 years, over $100 million in public funds, both state and federal, has been spent to clean up abandoned wells in New Mexico, and we still face up to $1.6 billion in future cleanup costs. The abandoned wells are dangerous. Methane and toxins leak into our air and groundwater, harming wildlife and public health, especially in rural and tribal communities. Leaking methane goes to waste, worsening global warming without even doing anything towards supplying our energy needs. Please vote to adopt stronger bonding rules. Let's protect our air, water, health, and wallets, and make sure no one gets to profit while leaving the rest of us with a mess. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Girardi. Is there anyone else on the platform who would like to offer comment at this time? If you're joining us by phone, you can press *5 to raise your hand. And then, as I understand it, from some information that Mr. Maxwell shared with us, you would be hitting *6 in order to unmute. Let's see, I see someone named Eleanor has raised her hand. Can you unmute yourself, Eleanor?
Yes.
Oh, hello. Would you
Hi.
spell your first and last name, please?
Eleanor, which is Eleanor, and then Smith is just Smith.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll start your time.
Okay. Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Eleanor Smith. I'm speaking on behalf of Twanajona, which translates to Sacred Water Speaks, in strong support of the proposed bonding rule changes. I live here in the San Juan Basin in the Four Corners area, in Shiprock, New Mexico, on the Navajo Reservation. As you may know, we live near two power plants, coal-fired power plants that one has recently closed down. And we have been littered with oil and gas wells that have been abandoned, some of them for as long as 100 years. Our Navajo Nation was established by the federal government as a mechanism to have a mechanism for them to approve oil and gas leases. And so the earliest, and this was back in the 1920s. So not far from here in Garcia, New Mexico, we actually have abandoned oil wells that have been there since the 1920s that have not been cleaned up. And for years in this San Juan Basin area of the Four Corners, we have had the American Lung Association give us a grade of an F, as in failing, for decades. Not only from the power plants, but also because of the methane emissions from these leaking oil and gas wells. We need really, I can't stress how much we are a sacrifice zone for the rest of the country. We're still designated as a sacrifice zone in this area. And we would like for the commission to hold these companies accountable and responsible for cleaning up their mess. My husband, who has never smoked, we're in our 60s now, and he has been diagnosed with chronic COPD, and he has never even smoked. So there's a high rate of asthma in this area. A lot of our people have asthma. It's just, we have chronic health conditions, cancer. So we would really like for the commission to do their job, to hold these corporations accountable, responsible, to make sure that they have bonding in place, to ensure that there's enough bonding, not just minimal amounts, but they need to have exceeding amounts to clean up their messes. And I just wanted to also, if I have time, share with you just the magnitude. This is from Jerry Redfern's article back from a couple months ago. It says oil and gas forecast for New Mexico's San Juan Basin going. And this is a BLM report, offers mixed outlook for oil and gas production in this area. And he predicted that, or the older report predicted 3,200 new oil and gas wells in the Bureau's Farmington Division area over 30 years in its baseline scenario. Records from the New Mexico Oil Conservation Division, which tracks all oil and gas development across the state, show 309 wells drilled from 2018 to present. Adding that number to the latest reports expected 1,200 new wells brings a total to 1,519 wells, less than half the number predicted 7 years ago. So, and then, now there's talk of more LNG drilling in this area. So,
okay, please wrap up.
Okay, and so those are the main points I wanted to make. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Smith. Is there anyone else on the platform who would like to offer public comment during this session? Our next session will be tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Anyone else? Raise your virtual hand or press *5 to raise your hand if you're on the phone. No. All right, thank you very much. We will return to the technical case. And Mr. Tisdale, I believe you indicated you had questions of Mr. Garcia.
Yes, thank you, Madam Hearing Officer. And thank you, Mr. Garcia, for hanging in there with us. I have just a few questions. My name is Kyle Tisdale. I'm an attorney with the Western Environmental Law Center and represent the applicants in this case. There's been some testimony, and you've been asked some questions already about the 2024 plugging data, and that had sort of three categories, right? OCD had plugged 100 wells. There were 129 wells indicated as being force plugged, and then 773 wells that are non-orphan, and those wells are, I guess, plugged by operators. Is that correct?
Correct.
That makes fairly easy math, about 1,000 wells. So even as an attorney, I don't know that I can screw that up too much. But if I do, please correct me. It sounded from your earlier testimony that the forced plugging or the force plugged category was sort of a gray area, and that involved third-party plugging of those wells. Is that right?
Correct. It's a third party plugging them. It kind of is a gray area on where those wells really fit.
Yeah. Why might a third party be motivated to plug a different operator's well?
I'm not fully sure. All I know is the operators I've worked with on these plugins have vastly different circumstances. So I'm not sure all the reasons behind it. I just know they seem to be broad.
Do those third-party operators have any sort of predecessor relationship to that well at all? Any sort of historical linkage to operating that well?
My understanding is State Land Office or BLM have made that connection somehow, and that's why the third party operator is being discussed. Some operators have told me it's just part of their lease agreements. If they want to, pursue other leases, that it's part of obtaining leases. I'm not an expert in that. That's just kind of what they've told me in, meetings about getting the sundries approved.
Okay, that's fair enough. Thank you. Is it the State Land Office or OCD that is reaching out to those third parties, or are those third parties availing themselves of the state agencies?
Not fully sure. OCD's never reached out to a third party, to my knowledge, to ask them to plug a well that they're not the operator of record for. I'm not sure if State Land Office or BLM's process isn't going about that.
Okay. But it's clear from at least the 2024 data that 773 or approximately 77%, I guess, of the 1,000 wells that were plugged in 2024, those were from operators, correct?
Correct.
And the OCD plugged 100 of those, or 10% of those wells, correct?
Correct.
And then roughly 13% are in this funny forced well category, correct?
Correct.
And I heard you say that you were available for listening to the testimony, the prior testimony in this case, for some of it, but not all of it. Is that correct?
Correct. I've tried my best to be on, but we've had other items arise in the background.
Fair enough. Were you around for any of the testimony that regarded the percentage of orphaned wells, or strike that? Have you been around for any of the testimony that spoke about the percentage of wells plugged being done by operators versus OCD in this case?
Not entirely.
Madam Hearing Officer, this is beyond the scope of directs or any cross, so object.
Let's see, Mr. Tisdale?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to go directly to the 2024 statistics that Mr. Garcia has provided for in his direct testimony, as well as testified to today.
All right, keep going.
So
I can proceed with an answer.
you may. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Garcia.
I will say I cannot say I've been around for all parties' testimony. The only one I can say I heard all testimony was Lauren today prior to me, Mr. Dede. I heard his entire testimony and the questions associated with it, but I cannot say I heard any other applicants or any parties opening.
Okay, fair enough. But at least in 2024, approximately 77% of the wells plugged in the state were done by operators, correct?
Correct.
And you also testified earlier about the master orphan spreadsheet, and that's a fairly new spreadsheet that the division has put together, correct?
Correct.
And how did you track orphan wells prior to the advent of that spreadsheet?
Probably similar answer to I gave, I believe, Mr. Rankin. I'd have to defer to probably Brandon. Prior to that Excel sheet, I wasn't involved in the project too much. Me and that Excel sheet kind of came in together, I would say. So it's been my extensive to track it through Moss.
And is it has that spreadsheet just not been around long enough for you to track any? I know you said earlier that spreadsheet is a living document, right? So information is being added to that on a daily basis. Over the course of that spreadsheet being in place, have you been able to discern any trends with the rate of orphaned wells in the state?
I don't think I've tied the Excel sheet to any trends or used it to track any trends. More just to ensure that our sundries are getting entered and our plugging dates are being entered on the engineering side.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Garcia. One last question, and I don't want to belabor the point on Exhibit 16 at all. But the distinction between pulling the data with the word or and, you pulling it with or gave you a broader sample of the impact of the number of marginal wells that would be included. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so that would suggest a broader impact on industry than perhaps the wording if you were to use and. Is that correct?
I would agree with that, yes.
No further questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tisdale. Mr. Tremaine, do you have any redirect?
No, Madam Hearing
Mr.
Officer.
Hall, very sorry.
It's okay. I knew what you meant. He's the boss.
Thank you. Commissioner Ampoma, do you have any questions for Mr. Garcia?
Mr. Garcia, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for your testimony. I don't have a lot of questions for you, but I want to ask you, based on your direct and then also all the discussions that we've had, would you like to change your testimony, especially on page on Exhibit 1, 004, the lines that we've read, which will start from lines number 12 to line number 15?
Oh, 1 second, sorry, pulling that up. Are we discussing the definition of the petition and the Excel code? Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, so starting from line 12, you said looking at the data for 2024, it shows that based on the petition, meaning based on the definition that the petitioner is seeking that the commission should enact, OCD would have 33,221 wells deemed productive. So that whole sentence up until no beneficial use. Based on your explanations, would you want to more or less amend this testimony?
I don't know if I would amend it with actual numbers. I would say the testimony is still accurate with the mentality of the or. I know we discussed that extensively today. My overall comment still would remain if it's meant to be and, these numbers would probably be less included. There'd be less marginal wells, less inactive wells. It would probably show less data that would affect industry with this proposed rule. As far as exact numbers, I would have to run code or relook at the code.
So, this information is very important to the commission because so when we go back to your slides, number 4, for the commission, we want to know how many wells are really going to be impacted, at least from OCD's perspective. We've listened to the applicant, and we do have a fair idea as to some of the numbers. But what you're showing here is more or less extremely higher than what even the applicant is showing. And you're saying that you don't necessarily have to make any amendments to your statement.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more than can make changes to code if the commission would like to see it. I would say, and I hate to defer a commissioner's question, but I believe Brandon will testify to our overall view, and our view of the rule has changed potentially in his testimony, I believe, and I think he would have better answers for that.
So Deputy Director will give us how many wells specifically that will be impacted by the petition's case. Is that correct?
I can't say for certainty he would have a well count, but I can rerun the well counts if the commission would like to see them.
Commissioner, Mr. Garcia can't answer that for his boss, but I can proffer that we can make that available to the commission.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate that. So let's go to slide number 7. Oh, no, let's go to slide number 9. Slide number 9 instead. So on slide number 9, you're showing, the Rock Queens unit number 043. And based on what we are seeing, it sounds like this well went down between 2002 and then came back 2008. Will this production profile support what we are discussing about some kind of discretion, OCD having some kind of discretion and some flexibility in categorizing these wells?
I guess to clarify too, we're talking about the Rock Queen because it shows low production from 2000 to 2009 approximately. As far as does it fit the OCD discretion on the categories, I think it's hard for us to justify all wells fit in category. Each well is a unique situation, and wells change, so they would routinely be changing the categories. And my understanding is the categories aren't set in stone, so as this well's production changed, the well's categories would also change with it. Does that help answer your question? I'm not sure if I fully got it.
Yeah, so you deal a lot with the data. So the direct question that I have is, would you support any exceptions to some of the well categories as presented by the petitioner?
I don't know if I have an overall view on the exact categories that have been provided. Really, this well is just to kind of show that, wells have a changing life and evolving life for BOEs and day counts. I haven't testified anything about, I guess, my opinions on the categories directly. Are you asking if I have an opinion on the categories?
No, I'm going to save my questions from Deputy Director. So thank you so much, Mr. Garcia, for your testimony, and do appreciate your presence. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bloom, do you have questions of Mr. Garcia?
Thank you, Madam Hearing Examiner. No, I believe we've covered pretty well some of the issues with the master orphan spreadsheet. Looks like the effect would be over exaggerated by using or instead of and. I think this has been covered sufficiently today, and I have a good feel for what's happening there. So I have no questions. Thank you, Mr. Garcia.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Chang, do you have questions of Mr. Garcia?
I do not.
All righty. We are at about 4:45. I trust that our next witness, let's see, is Ms. Romero. Is that true?
Yes, Madam Hearing Officer, Ms. Ramiro's direct, I anticipate to take in excess of 30 minutes.
Okay, let's do that tomorrow morning then.
That sounds
We'll
fine.
take public comment at 9 and go to Ms. Romero. Is there anything else we can talk about while we're together?
Sorry, Madam Hearing Officer. I think Mr. Rankin correctly raised the issue of Mr. Powell. I don't know what else, but I think, let's just say, I think some issues have been kicked to Mr. Powell that appeared from written direct testimony other witnesses were going to handle. So I think on behalf of IPA&M, at least, I'm going to be asking that you consider more cross time for Mr. Powell because he's going to be carrying a lot more water than we thought.
All right. Perhaps return to the hour originally proposed for every witness.
That would be sufficient for us. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Tremaine?
I'm not sure what to say. I think if anyone's surprised that high-level policy and implementation questions go to the deputy director, not lower-level technical staff, that takes me out of stride. I'm not sure how to respond to that. There's any number of questions I'd love to ask regarding data from petition opponents, but they didn't submit data into the record. So I have to confine my cross to what's in the record and within the time allotted. So my position is that they need to conform with the agreed order.
All right.
Mr. Hearing Officer, I think if we are observing a concerted effort to be concise and brief, then, and there really is at when parties run out of time, that there really are substantive questions left and parties have made a concerted effort to be concise and brief. We might be able to revisit the issue then, but I would hate to extend time if people end up just asking repetitive questions over and over. So perhaps we can reserve that and just see how we get.
I appreciate that, Chair Chang, and Mr. Suazo, Mr. Rankin, and I have been trying to coordinate our questioning so that one of us is not replowing the ground of another. I think there have been a few clarification questions, but we will try and coordinate on that and see where we are.
All right. Thank you all very much. See you tomorrow at 9.